Greetings, my name is Kajira. I am the Silver Dragon Gamer, and welcome once more to my series on Legend of Zelda: How Strong Can You Get Link before doing any dungeons and with no glitches. So for today's entry, we have The Legend of Zelda: Spirit Tracks. Now this game was released 2 years after Phantom Hourglass and is meant to be a sequel to it. It was released in 2009 for the DS system. The game uses most of the same mechanics from Phantom Hourglass with some tweaks and updates to said mechanics, and is a direct sequel to Phantom Hourglass. In this early part of this game, it uses a lot of cutscenes to tell the story and do the setups, making this early portion of the game a bit tedious at times to get through. Now, two things of note as we go forward. The first is you will notice a change in the format about halfway through or maybe a little further. I was playing with some settings to make it easier to view as a video while creating the raw footage, and it can be a little bit jarring where the screens go from being stacked to being side by side, so you've been warned. The second item of note is yes, I am emulating the game because capture card modded 3DS systems are expensive. I don't have one and I don't have the skills to mod it myself. Therefore, I'm unable to show the last two songs that you earn in this early part of the game because they require you to blow into a microphone, and I can't get that to work through emulation. So, without any further ado, let's jump into this game now that we've sat through that incredibly long intro scene from the game. So, as you can see, it has the same mechanic of using a stylus to tap, so I have to use a mouse here to get around. And the first thing we're going to do is come over and talk to this girl, and she's going to teach us how to move things. All she really has you do is just go over and tap on the rocks and throw them out of the way so that she can get access to her house. That can net you a little bit of money, and then once you're done, you talk to her again, and she gives you 20 rupees. It's just a nice little tutorial on how to interact with items in your environment and how to interact with NPCs around the game. Now next we're going to come up here and talk to this guy. He's going to talk us into rolling into the tree if you want, which sets off the bees and makes them angry, and then to get away from them you have to run and jump into the water, which will cause the bees to go away. And then once we talk to the guy, he'll give us the star piece. Once we completed that, we go up here to the train station where our buddy Alfonso is waiting for us and ready to take us over to the castle. He's going to offer to give us our final exam, which is that we have to get to the castle within 300 seconds. And this is just basically the tutorial on, hey, this is how you switch tracks when you're using the train. This is how you move the train forward, backwards, and stop it using the gearbox. Oh, and also how to use the whistle by just tugging on it with your stylus or with your mouse if you're playing on an emulator. He will warn us about animals in the way, which is what the whistle is for, and also that we have to watch out for other trains on the track because it is a populated area. Now, as we cruise along, we have the option to switch as we come up to different tracks. We can choose which direction we want to go, and if we want to run into another train, just kind of, being a little silly or something. And we try to get our way up to the castle as quickly as possible because we only have 300 seconds to make it that far. As we pull up to the castle, we're greeted with a sight of the castle and the Spirit Tower. Now the Spirit Tower is going to be very important in this game, but as you can see here, we pull up and stop, we get out of the castle at Castletown, and we prepare to go inside. But first we have a couple of quick stops we have to make. Before we can get into the town, we have to talk to this guy. He's going to give us a little exposition about the spirit tracks and some other things. And then we can go around, talk to a little bit of the townspeople, which is not required. But once we come to this section, we're going to run into the postman, and he's going to give us our first letter of the game. Now the letter that he gives us is going to explain a little bit about how the post system in this game works, but I'm going to skip it for now and head on into Hyrule Castle. Once I talk to the guards and they move and let me into the castle because they realize that Link is here for the engineer ceremony. We'll run inside, talk to the guard, and then run into the Chancellor, who has kind of been an advisor to Zelda. Now it's time for us to go inside and receive our certificate of being an engineer at this ceremony so that we can drive the trains around all over the kingdom. There's a lot of exposition going on here, and if anybody's really interested, you can obviously read what's going on screen. Zelda's very happy. She gives us our Royal Engineer Certificate, and now we are a full-fledged engineer. Once Zelda leaves the throne room, the Chancellor's going to make some weird snide comments at us about the thing being useless that we do, and then we have the ability to go talk to Zelda, but unfortunately, these guys aren't going to let us through. So if we read Zelda's letter, she gives us an explanation of how we can sneak around them, And it's kind of a little bit of a tutorial of, hey, here's how you draw on your mini map so that you can give yourself some hints and let yourself know how to get around certain areas. Once we complete that, we head on in and sneak around and get into Zelda's room and have a little discussion with her. Now she's going to ask us to sneak her out of the castle because she needs to go to the Spirit Tower to see what's going on because she feels like something is amiss. Of course, Link's going to volunteer to do it. She's going to give him a guard uniform, which is his traditional green garb that Link wears in pretty much every game. After Link changes clothes, we head down to the second level because Zelda needs to teach us how we're going to sneak and how we're going to use a second character to move around the map. Now, with her, we can just kind of draw on the map after clicking on that pink icon underneath her, and then move Link and just let her follow along. Now, to get out of the castle, once we're outside, we have to be a little bit more careful because, as you can see, the guards all have kind of like a cone of vision, and we have to avoid letting her walk into that cone so that she doesn't get caught at all. As we finally finish up and manage to sneak out of Hyrule Castle, we're greeted by Alfonso, who turns out is an ex-guardsman of hers. So she knows him, he knows us, he's trained us in this, and we head on over to the Spirit Tower, but suddenly the train is derailed because the tracks have vanished and the Spirit Tower breaks right there in front of us. Now, as the tower is twisting around, suddenly this weird train appears in the sky and comes down and buzzes us. And then it turns out, oh no, Chancellor Cole, he's a demon and he's the bad guy and he's going to cause all kinds of problems and try to take Princess Zelda from us. Now, Alfonso's going to step in and try to protect her, of course, because he's a former guardsman, but Chancellor calls up his own goon, they have a fight, and it ends, Link is knocked out, and of course the princess is kidnapped, and we have to figure out what happened to her. Link is then knocked unconscious and wakes up inside Hyrule Castle, where he's greeted by this gentleman who goes on to explain that Princess Zelda has disappeared and nobody knows where she is, and it's up to Link to find her. Once Link walks outside, he'll see a ghost version of her wandering around. We technically need to just go to her room to talk to her, but if we go over and pick up that chest in the corner, it'll give us a 20-pack of rupees. Then from there, we want to run to the northwest corner of the castle here so we can destroy these pots and get a wood heart. From there, we head up to the third floor where we're going to go into Zelda's room, and she's going to explain that she needs to go to the Tower of Spirit and that the spirit tracks are disappearing. After that, she's going to offer us this spirit flute, which is a prized possession from her ancestors. Now, this is just a gimmicky item that they put into the game. I think it's probably one of the worst mechanics I've ever seen in a Zelda game, but it's what keeps us also from learning the first two songs of the game in this run through. From here, it's time to head out of Zelda's room. She's going to explain that we need to leave and go to the Spirit Tower, and if we go downstairs, we're going to run into this guard who won't let us pass because we don't have a weapon and it's dangerous to go outside. Zelda's going to also suggest that we go downstairs to the captain and talk to him and get a sword from him so that we can continue on and leave the castle. Now, once we find the captain of the guards, he's going to interrogate us just a little bit and wonder why one of his guardsmen doesn't have his sword, but he'll give us the recruit's sword. From there, he's going to go into a little tutorial, just like in Phantom Hourglass and in many of the other Zelda games where it's, hey, here's how you use your weapon in this particular game. After we have completed our tutorial, we're going to head back downstairs to the first floor. As you can see, I made a wrong turn, and we're going to talk to the guard who's going to allow us outside the castle. Once we're in the woods, we need to save this guard by killing the monsters attacking him. He will then give us a hint that the tunnel entrance is located in the cliffside and we need to blow it up to enter. So with some judicious bombing, we can open the entrance to the tunnel and proceed onward to the tower tunnel. And as we head into the tunnel, Zelda's going to pop up in her ghost form and complain that she doesn't like the dark. After that, we're going to have to continue over here and do this little puzzle so that we can get the small key out of this chest. We do that by pushing this great block onto the pressure plate, that drops the wall, and we have access to the chest. Now that we have the key, we can come over and unlock the door and move on to floor 2. Now on floor 2, we're going to be presented with yet another puzzle. This one's going to be a switch puzzle. Looking at each of these tablets is going to give us a hint about what we need to do to advance and open up the next area. On this area, we can actually grab a 20-pack of rupees out of this chest. Then we want to continue on up here into this switch area. Having read all of the tablets, we know the order is right, top, bottom, left. That unlocks the door and lets us into the third floor, where Zelda's going to complain that she doesn't like mice, oh no! This is kind of an important mechanic later on. Now, once we're through there, we actually have access to the Tower of Spirit, where Link and Zelda are going to run inside. There, they're going to see some kind of weird stone train, and they're going to meet the caretaker, Anjin. And yes, this is a play on the word engine. Of course, Anjin is going to continue on and explain what's actually going on, that they're trying to awaken the Demon King and everything, and they need Zelda's body to let the Demon King possess so that he can come once more into the world. But instead, we have to go find these rail maps so that we can reconnect all the spirit tracks and trap the Demon King back where he belongs. As I said, this game has a lot of cutscenes in this early areas, which kind of makes it a bit tedious. Once we get control of Link, then we have the ability to go upstairs, where we're going to be confronted by this giant armored phantom, as they call them in this game. We're going to come back downstairs for a little bit more exposition, where we're told we have to go get these 3 tiers from up there and use them to try and defeat the phantom. I can't say I'm a huge fan of this stealth mechanic that they've worked into the game. It kind of gets tedious even just this early in the game, so I can't even imagine how bad it's going to get by the end of the game. Yes, I have never played this. You are correct that I have never played this, nor have I played Phantom Hourglass. But anyway, once we have the 3 tiers, it powers up our sword, we can go smack the phantom. He's going to turn around and try to hit us. Zelda's going to learn, hey, I can take possession of these things. That's going to open up the mechanic more of trying to control 2 characters at once, as we see here on the second floor, where we have to use Zelda to get over to the switch, hit it, and then we have to walk her and Link around to these floor switches to get through and open a door, and then we have to drag another block across to block some more rats. From there, we use Zelda to try and skirt around the phantom after hitting a switch so that the phantom's never looking at us and doesn't squash Link into the floor. Once we get safely past him, we can come up here and grab the forest rail map. With the map in hand, now we have the ability to look at the map, and all of the spirit tracks in the forest area are brought back into existence, and we can stabilize the world just a little bit. As we go back downstairs and we talk to Anjin, he's going to explain that we need to go to the big temple over here, but we can't get to it right now. We have to go around and find these other people and collect all these spirit instruments like the spirit flute that Zelda gave us. To me, this game feels like it's a mashup of like Wind Waker with the art style and Phantom Hourglass with the movement and Link's Awakening. It just does not feel original at all. I'm not a fan of this game, having just played this little bit and done some research in it. I think this is probably my least favorite one. It has actually knocked off Zelda 2 as my least favorite game in the Zelda franchise. Now, as you can see, I'm cruising along, heading for the Lost Woods. Honestly, I'm only about half paying attention as I'm cruising, because my dog was bothering me, so I tended to run into a lot of animals and hit things I shouldn't have. But I get into the Lost Woods, and obviously it's the Lost Woods. You always get lost in it if you don't know what you're doing. So instead, we're going to head back here to this town of Whittington. I did overshoot it and had to back up and do a little finagling, but I finally ended up in Whittleton. Now, this is a cute little town here. We'll get out, Zelda's going to complain about some bugs, and then once we're there, we're going to head into the shop for the first item that we're going to purchase. And of course, that's going to be our shield. Now that we have that, Link's going to hold it up, and we have a little bit of extra defensive power to deal with all the things in the game. With our purchase finished, we're going to head out of the shop and we're going to chop down some grass so that we can pick up a little bit of rupees here, because our next goal is to farm up enough to get a potion. However, before doing that, we got to go talk to the chief of the village, who happens to live in this building here. We need to talk to the chief as he's going to explain to us how we're going to get through the Lost Woods. He tells us that what we need to do is follow the tree branches and remember that the 4th branch always lies. Now, once we're done with him, we're going to go back outside, farm some more rupees, because this time we're going to go in and buy the red potion so that we can drink it later and restore 6 hearts when we need it. Now, we could spend some time and purchase the collection items, but as somebody pointed out, that's not really powering up, it's just kind of purchasing everything early. So this time I am going to skip them, even even though in Phantom Hourglass I did go ahead and purchase some of the items like the Ruto Crown. Now we're going to head into the Lost Woods this time, and following each of the branches, we're going to make a left, a right, and on into another left, and then turn right, which will dump us out into the forest clearing. I'm sorry, the forest sanctuary. From here, we're going to follow the steps around until we see these bomb flowers. Bomb flowers are going to help us with this little puzzle here. We're going to throw one at the switch, run back and grab the other one to get across that bridge before it retracts. Now, unfortunately, this does bring us to the end because, as I stated earlier in the video, I'm doing this emulated, and you cannot blow onto the microphone or anything that would normally be required to play the spirit flute in this game. So you can see me trying here over and over and over, but it unfortunately doesn't work. But that being said, the items we were able to grab are a red potion, we have the recruit sword, the shield, the recruit outfit, as well as the spirit engine, the solid passenger car, we have the spirit flute, we have 3 treasures, and we have 2 letters. The items we're missing are the Song of Awakening and the Song of Healing. Unfortunately, as I said, we can't get that in emulation. But with that all said and done, I'd like to thank you all for watching my video. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. It really does help out the channel a lot, and I'll see you in the next one.